you're considering making that move here to Metro Detroit, Michigan in 2025, then do I have the ultimate guide for you. You can thank me later. Actually, thank me at the end of this video. But in this video, I'm going to go over everything you need to know about moving here to Metro Detroit, Michigan in 2025. I'm talking about location, cost of living, school systems, and amenities, and everything in between. So make sure you stick around to the end because I'm going to share my personal recommendation on how to make your move here to Metro Detroit as smooth as possible. And this is the same process that's worked for some of my best clients when relocating here. And if you're new to me and new to my channel, my name is Eric. I'm a local realtor here with True Living Group, and I've helped hundreds of people that are in your exact shoes make that move here to Michigan. And I absolutely love it. So make sure you get a hold of me. All my contact information is down below. And remember, I'm going to share with you my personal recommendation on what's worked for my best clients when making that move here to Michigan. So make sure you stick around to the end because we got a lot to unpack in this video. So if you're new to the Metro Detroit area, you might be looking at a map thinking to yourself, okay, I know where Detroit is, but when you say Metro Detroit, like where does it begin? Where does it end? And I want to clue you in on some nuances when it comes to the Metro Detroit area. Now, even some locals will probably disagree with me. So if you are somebody here local in the Metro Detroit area, I would love to know, where do you think Metro Detroit begins? Where does it end? Okay. When it comes to a statistical population in the area, there are some definitions. So you really look at what's called the Detroit, Warren, and Dearborn census population. And that's really what this goes off. Don't ask me how they came up with these counties. I'm just going by the book here. All right. I have my opinion, and I'm sure a lot of other locals here in Metro Detroit will be like, that's crazy. I've never heard of that. So the Detroit, Warren, and Dearborn census population include St. Clair County, Lapeer County, Macomb County, Oakland County, Livingston County, and Wayne County. Now, those 6 counties make up Detroit, Warren, and Dearborn statistics. Now, one thing that's not in there is Washtenaw County, which I always thought was kind of interesting. What I really kind of consider Metro Detroit is anything within about a 45-minute kind of umbrella over Detroit. And that can go up, into like the St. Clair area, kind of Macomb, Harrison Township, and a little bit north of that. And then you kind of go arch over like Oxford, come down into more of like Milford, right along 23 here, and then kind of like swoop down into Brownstown, Flat Rock area down there. Now, that would make just perfect sense to me. If we just kind of put an umbrella and it was a radius of like 45 minutes. Well, a lot of people in Metro Detroit just disagree with that. Like, nope, Ann Arbor is not part of that. Ann Arbor is like its own island over here. Get them out of here. We don't want them. And then Flint's not even part of that. And northern parts of Lapeer, don't tend to be part of that as well. So I always thought it was interesting, but this is the Metro Detroit area. And if you really want to get technical on this, a closer look at the Metro Detroit area would be something like Harrison Township over to Bloomfield Hills, into Northville, Canton, and then all the way down to like Flat Rock. And that would be kind of like the central part of Metro Detroit. All right, so now that we got a good understanding, or maybe a conflicting understanding of what Metro Detroit is, at least we know where it is on the map. Okay, we've pinpointed it. It's kind of that little area, that arch, 45 minutes over Detroit. That's my definition of it. But let's take a look at why some people are moving to the Metro Detroit area in the first place. A lot of the same reasons why you're probably moving. And then we're going to get into how to make your relocation here to Metro Detroit as smooth as possible. The first reason people are moving is for job relocation. And despite Detroit or Metro Detroit having a negative reputation for a lot of job loss and a big high unemployment rate, we still have a lot of people moving into the Metro Detroit area for jobs. And these are high paying jobs. We have healthcare, we have automotive jobs, a lot of engineering. So for those reasons, we are still seeing a lot of people come in for those specialty jobs in the Metro Detroit area. And the next reason people are moving to Michigan is to be closer to family. And this is the same reason my wife and I moved to California and ultimately decided to move back to Michigan. We knew California was not a long-term, stay out there, but so many people, grow up and they take jobs in Chicago, New York, and they move out to California and they spend their 20s and 30s, maybe building their career, building their families. And then ultimately, once they start realizing, hey, we don't really have a family out here, we want to move back to Michigan to be closer to our parents and give our grandparents a better relationship with their grandkids. And the third reason is cost of living. If you look out west or look on the East Coast and you start seeing what some of these people are paying for homes and the cost of living out there, you start scratching your head saying, well, is there a better place? Maybe the Midwest. And Michigan always comes up as one of those places. So you start poking around. Might be the same reason you kind of landed on this video and you're seeing, hey, what does it look like to live in Michigan? And that's why we make these videos, to help answer those specific questions. Now, since so many people are moving here for job relocation, I wanted to go over some of the major employers here in Metro Detroit. These are employers, if you're thinking about making a move here or you're looking at Michigan and Metro Detroit for a cost of living and you're looking for opportunity, look at some of these companies. They're hiring quite a bit, even though the automotive industry kind of goes in waves, and we've heard recently there was some layoffs at General Motors and some other companies like Stellantis. They still do hire. Ford Motor Company has almost 50,000 full-time employees. Stellantis has 42,000 employees here in Metro Detroit. General Motors is 38,000. And then you start getting into companies like the University of Michigan. This is the healthcare system and the college. They have 35,000 employees. Corewell Health is another big one, 21,000 employees. And then the U.S. government is a massive one, right? And then some people say, like, this is the reason Detroit went bankrupt, is because they have almost 20,000 employees in the city of Detroit. So U.S. government's still a big one. Henry Ford Health System, so there's another hospital, 17,000 employees. Rocket companies, this is Dan Gilbert and Rocket Mortgage and his other companies as subsidiaries, and Bedrock and all of these other companies that are helping really build and into real estate. But they employ 14,000 people here in Metro Detroit. Trinity Health, another hospital, 13,000. Ascension, Michigan, another hospital, 12,000. So combined with all of these, there's 250,000 jobs just with these companies alone. So when you're planning to relocate, there's a lot of things going through your mind, as I'm sure they are right now. And you're like, well, I don't know where the best place to live is. I don't know where the good school systems are. I don't know the cost of living in any of these areas. Are they safe? Are they places that we'd want to live? And all of these are great questions. And I'm going to take you through, some things that I want you to consider. All right. This is the ultimate guide to moving here to Michigan. So make sure you pay attention to each of these. So first up, we need to take a look at the cost of living and what you need to know. Now, a major portion of your cost of living is going to come down to housing, which we'll talk about in a second. But there's some other things that you really should know about, here in Metro Detroit, that are kind of nuanced in terms of cost of living. And one of those things is car insurance. You're going to need a car if you're living here in Metro Detroit to get to and from. It is really heavily reliant on a vehicle. There's not a big public transit system, to and from different cities. So you're going to need a car. But car insurance is one of those things that, you can get quoted a pretty high premium in some cities and a lower premium in the other cities. And that's due to crime stats and all the things that the insurance companies use to kind of figure out, okay, what do our premiums need to be from that perspective? And Detroit is one of those cities that has a very high car insurance coverage policy. If you look at the city of Detroit, the average full coverage policy will run you $5,600 per year. Compared to some of the other cities here in Southeast Michigan, you could be paying about $3,600 less for that same coverage in just a different city. So make sure you're taking a look at those. Detroit will be higher, Wayne County will be higher in general. Just ask your insurance company. And property taxes are another one you really need to take a look at. They could be really high in some areas, lower in others, but that really comes down to a couple things that you need to figure out first, which is, what is my lifestyle? What is my budget? And then we can look at property taxes and see if that makes an impact on any of those. And if you are going to be looking to purchase a home here in Metro Detroit, this is going to be a big portion of your cost of living. Now, the average home in Metro Detroit will run you right around $250,000. But when it comes to specific cities, if you want to know where people are moving to and where some of the more popular areas are, I do have a list for you. These are according to niche.com. These are the top 5 cities that people are moving to, here in Metro Detroit, Michigan. Number 5 is Farmington Hills, and an average home there will cost you $355,000. Number 4 is Royal Oak, and an average home there will cost you $365,000. And number 3 is Birmingham, Birmingham, Michigan. An average home there is going to run you right around $850,000. And number 2 is Novi, Michigan. An average home there is going to cost you $475,000. And last, the number 1 city on our list is Troy, Michigan, with an average home costing you right around $450,000. Now, when it comes to buying a home, if you do have a family and schools are important to you as they are to most people, the question comes up, where are the good schools? And the good schools are typically synonymous with some of the more desirable areas that people are moving to. So the list I just gave you, they do have great schools. Some other great schools in the area are Birmingham Public Schools, Rochester Community Schools, Northville, Ann Arbor, Troy School District, and the Grosse Pointe School Districts. And you can do some more research about schools on a site called greatschools.org or niche.com. Both those links are down below in the description, and you can see honest reviews from people that have sent their kids there and see what they're saying about each of those school districts. And in addition to having some great public schools here in Metro Detroit, there's also a lot of great private options. You can go religious-based, you can go gifted education, and some of the schools, here like Detroit Country Day or Detroit Mercy or Roper School or Cranbrook, those are all great private options. But again, greatschools.org and niche.com have those schools listed as well, so you can see the reviews. And the next thing you want to focus on when making your move here to Metro Detroit is the lifestyle and the amenities that you're going for. Now, I can't stress this enough. Really think about this. Think about what's important to you in terms of lifestyle, the amenities that you want to be close to. And this is really going to help you narrow this down. Right? This is the biggest thing that I focus on with most of my clients is lifestyle amenities. Okay. Think about the parks. Think about, the outdoor spaces. Think about the gym that you want to go to. Are those nearby? Are all of these things conveniently located in or around the city that you might be considering? This is a big deal. And I've always said this, I don't sell homes, even though I'm a real estate agent. Yes, I do sell them technically, but first off, I'm helping you understand the lifestyle. The lifestyle is what's going to get you to the right home. Okay? There's homes in all the cities, here in Metro Detroit, but at the end of the day, it's all about lifestyle, right? And that's the big thing I really want to stress. When it comes to your lifestyle and the amenities, make a list, see what's important to you. And that's the beautiful thing about Metro Detroit. You got each of these cities that has their own culture, their own kind of norms and things that, might be important to you. So make sure you dive in and really embrace that and understand what type of culture and what type of lifestyle each of these cities has. And of course, if you have any questions, drop those down below. I'd be happy to answer those. And I'm curious, if you're a Metro Detroit local, drop in the comments what you love about the city you live in. What are some of the lifestyle and amenity things that you really enjoy about where you live? Hopefully it will help somebody kind of learn a little bit something new about that city. All right, so maybe your gears are turning right now, and I've given you something to think about, with housing costs, education, school districts, lifestyle amenities, and all the things that come into, your brain when you're thinking about relocating to a new area. I want to take you through what I usually recommend. This is my personal recommendation that I kind of walk my clients through in terms of prioritizing and figuring out what is important to you when making that move here to Michigan. Now, first up, I want you to make a list of what's important to you. Prioritize it. Okay. And I know this might sound really easy to do, but trust me, it's a brain exercise. I want you to think about the location you're working in. If you work from home, maybe that's not really even a priority for you. Think about the school systems. Are those important? What are some of the education curriculums that you might be looking at? Are private schools more important than public schools? Is the place you live more important than the school? You'll have that list, and now we'll come back to that. That's going to be super important to do. So make a list, prioritize it. So next up, what we're going to do with that list is we're going to be able to take it and we're going to narrow down the locations that are available to you based on your priorities. For example, if you said, I want to be near parks, I want to have an outdoor lifestyle, I want to have biking nearby, and I want to be able to be near just a lot of outdoors. There's going to be certain areas that your lifestyle is going to be much more enjoyable, that you don't have to commute to all these things on a regular basis. So that will really help you narrow down the location. And we can see, from the Metro Detroit area, okay, where do these parks exist? Okay, where are some of the best biking, hiking trails? Where is access to water if you love to be outdoors, and water sports are really important? And then we can start narrowing these down. Now you go from this large, Metro Detroit area that it's really wide open to here. All right, so now that we got our communities kind of narrowed down, and let's say we have a handful, now I'm going to send you out into the wild, which brings us to our third point, is I want you to go visit those communities. Okay, I want you to act like a local. And what we usually do is set you up with an itinerary so you can go visit some neighborhoods, visit the downtown area in these cities. And one of the things I always tell my clients to do is make sure you have some available time in the morning, afternoon, and evenings. Okay. What I usually say is go out to breakfast. Okay. Go out to lunch, go out to dinner, right? Experience going into these communities and acting as a local. Okay. So where local is going to go, here's some recommendations for restaurants, and then go to the grocery store, right? Go see, the type of people that are shopping at your grocery stores. These are likely your neighbors. These are people in the community. Okay. Give you a good sense of who lives there. And then the other thing I recommend doing is going and driving through some of these neighborhoods or subdivisions in the morning and in the evening. Okay. This is when the most activity, this is when people are getting up and going to work. This is when people are coming home from work. This is typically when kids are getting out from school. And so you can see the type of activity and things that are going on in the neighborhood. And that's really going to give you a good idea and some good feels of that community. So hopefully this video was helpful for you guys. I'm going to have some other videos here, so go check those out to learn more things about living here in Michigan. And if this video was helpful for you, make sure you give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and tap that little bell so you're the first to learn about all things living in Michigan. And I will see you on the next one.